Hello once again, and welcome to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the Think Pink game coming up for the IU East women's basketball team. We'll also be talking a little bit about track and field and an award that the athletic department recently received. But joining me first is women's basketball head coach Tiffany Selhorst to talk about the Play for Cave movement and the Think Pink basketball game. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Caleb.
Well, obviously this game is going to be coming up on February 13th. Just tell us a little bit about the history of this national movement, the Play for Cave movement.
Sure. Well, I guess it starts with Kay Yao, who is a Hall of Fame, or was a Hall of Fame coach for North Carolina State. She had been there for 30 plus years. Just had over 700 wins, had been to the NCAA tournament almost every year she was a coach there. Gotten to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 and even to the Final Four. Just very well known in the women's basketball community. About midway through her career, was the first time that she dealt with breast cancer. And then she ended up having breast cancer for 3 times before it ended up actually taking her life. But because of that, before she left, or before she passed away, she wanted to set up a foundation because she felt like if she had to go through all this stuff with the cancer and battling it and trying to juggle being a Division I head coach at the highest levels, she wanted it to count. She wanted it to help a lot of people. So they set up a foundation for her, and women's basketball teams all over the country at every level are taking part in this. We want to raise money for cancer research. It goes to the national level and Play for K, which I believe they have raised over $5 million at this point, almost $6 million towards research at the national level. But a lot of programs will also help the local level and partner with local chapters of hospitals or whatever it is that would do it for any kind of women's cancers, but definitely breast cancer.
All right, what were some of the things that you did at St. Francis in relation to the Play for K game?
Sure. Think Pink was actually one of our biggest games there. We would have close to 1,500 people that would come to that game. You know, we would throw out free gear. We would ask for donations that we could donate to the local chapters at the hospitals for whoever was raising funds for women's cancer research at the time. We would also, one of our biggest things that the fans loved, we would wear pink uniforms. And then after the game, we would tie these up into these nice little plastic bags. Disgusting, but then we would put them on auction and we would raise more funds that way. So usually, I mean, we would raise a couple $1,000s that we were able to donate for that. So that was our biggest thing at St. Francis.
Okay, well, I mean, thinking back to like the Pink Out game for volleyball season, I mean, you've seen how big of a deal that is.
Yeah.
How do you want the community and the school to get involved, maybe make this a little bit bigger than the Pink Out game?
Sure. Well, I think it's great that the Pink Out game for volleyball, and hopefully we can piggyback with that. You know, we're working with Bravo through Reed Hospital. They will be at our game. They're going to have a table set up. We're hoping that they can pass out some information. We are also asking that instead of admission and paying $5 to get into our game, that you just go ahead and walk over to their table and donate it directly to them. We're also going to be wearing our pink uniforms, which I am wearing today to show off a little bit. Our kids will be wearing that with some pink socks, and we're going to get into the whole thing. You know, breast cancer or women's cancers of any sort have touched almost everybody. It's one of those, 7 degrees that it's something that everybody has to deal with at some point in their life, and knowing somebody that has had it. I believe it's 1 in 4 women may experience breast cancer. That's a scary statistic, especially for a coach because I'm thinking about my team, and you know, it means that about 3 or 4 kids from my team may have to deal with this at some point. So I want to make this a big deal within the Richmond community. We're hoping that we can get people to come out just because Bravo is there and you're able to donate towards them and their cause, but with that, be able to check out a cool women's basketball game and see our team in action. We're really exciting to watch, as you know, because you're at almost every game. But yeah, just having a ton of people get on board with the Bravo thing, and then, you know, having a place that we can help them raise some funds towards cancer research.
All right, do you have any personal connections with this at all?
The only real connection that I've had is I've been able to, or I was able to meet Coach Kay Yao when she was alive. And she had, at that point, already gone through this twice. And just, I mean, it was just amazing to me to see her dedication to this. You know, every coach really has a passion to coach or a vision to coach and what they want to do for their life and impact women in these ways. But it was just really neat to see how much it meant to her to help not only just her basketball team, but just through this help women all over the country, because obviously it touched her, and she felt like there was a reason that she had to go through this. And it wasn't just to sit on her hands and whine about it. It was to make a difference. So that was a vehicle that she's used to promote cancer research.
All right, well, obviously it's going to be a home conference game that night against Brescia, so an exciting game. What do you expect to see there?
Well, Brescia is a really quick team. They press you the entire game. They like to get up and down the floor, and they've even been able to upset a few of the top teams in the conference already. So I know that they're going to be looking at stopping us or halting us as well. So it's going to be a quick game. It'll be very entertaining. If you don't know that much about basketball, there's going to be a lot of baskets made in that game, so it'll be fun.
All right, well, great game and a great cause. Anything else you'd like to add about either Play 4K or the Think Pink game that night?
Just that we really hope that we can get everybody involved within the community. This is a big deal, and we really want to make a connection with Bravo and continue to use this game. I would love to see this as being one of our biggest games that we can attract fans to, and understand that there's more to this than just basketball.
All right, well, thanks for joining. Be sure to make it over to the Tiernan Center on February 13th as the Red Wolves take on Brescia at home for the Think Pink Play 4K game. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports right after this.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. It's time to talk about track and field, and joining me to do so is head coach Dave Sanders. Thanks for joining me.
No problem, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, well, tell us just a little bit about how the indoor season's going.
It's going well. We had our first meet on December 11th at UIndy, and it was kind of a crazy meet just because it was in the middle of finals week and everything. Right. So, I mean, to get the kids to practice and stuff, I mean, it was just a crazy time because, I mean, they had a lot of stuff going on, but we had a good week of practice as well as it can go, and then we had a good meet. I mean, we had people go in and set some PRs and run some good races. So, I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy about it.
And how well did that UIndy meet go?
Like I said, it went pretty well. We actually had a couple top 3 finishes. So, I mean, that's always good, especially at a big meet like that, you know, going against University of Indianapolis, Indiana Tech. It's always good to have top 5 places, and we had a couple top 3, which is good. So, I'm not sure. I know Trisha Spivey. I'm not sure your next question, but Trisha Spivey, she actually got third in high jump. Pretty good jump. Hayden Stuckwich, he got third or fourth in high jump, and then Hayden got like ninth in long jump, I believe. I mean, not looking over. I think that's our top, finishes.
All right. So how's the indoor season differ from the outdoor season?
The biggest difference is, I mean, we can't go outside. I mean,
Right.
we look at a day like today, it's
Right.
freezing cold and snow's on the ground, schools are closed. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing. We can't go outside. So we do have a facility we go to at Richmond High School, and they do a good job of allowing us to be in there. We go early in the morning. So, I mean, that's one of the changes that we have to make. I mean, we just have to find somewhere to go. And I'm really grateful for Richmond High School just because they do allow us to come in the mornings and do what we need to do, and without them, I don't know where we would be.
Right.
So, I mean, huge props to Richmond High School.
All right. Well, you mentioned some of those finishers there from the UND Winter Break meet, but who are some of your standouts on the team right now?
I mean, right now you're always going to have your Clint Swanson. He was Athlete of the Year last year. So, I mean, he's always going to be a standout athlete. He's going to be the first name I mentioned just because he's been here before.
Right.
And he has a proven record. And, I mean, we have guys, like I mentioned, Trisha on the girls' side. I think she's going to have a good year, both indoor and outdoor. Unfortunately, we didn't qualify for indoor nationals, or we didn't deem ourselves indoor ready this year. So if that was the case, then she would have actually been a national qualifier. Okay. So, I mean, that's huge. I mean, to go out her first meet and be a national qualifier,
right.
If we had that. Outdoors is a little different as far as national qualifiers. The standard's a little higher, so she still has some work to do, and she's going to work her way through the indoor season. And once we get outdoor, then hopefully she can have a couple of good jumps and make it to nationals for outdoor. But I mean, we have a couple newcomers. Keegan Kilfoyle Barnes, he's going to step in, I think, and provide some versatility. He can do a lot of different things. Hayden, I mentioned Hayden already. So, I mean, we just have a lot of guys who can come in who's versatile and do well in a lot of events.
All right, so you mentioned qualifying for the nationals at the indoor level. What do you have to do to be able to qualify for the national level?
It's not like cross country is a little different, just because cross country, if you win as a team at conference and you make it, it's just kind of like basketball in that aspect. Right. And the next top 6 finishers, they make it to nationals. Well, in track, you have to hit a qualifying mark. It doesn't matter if you do it early on in the season or the last meet of the year. As long as you hit that qualifying mark, then you'll be able to make it to nationals. Okay. And for Trisha, the qualifying mark was they go in meters for, I don't know why. In high school, they go to feet, but now they come to meters. But she was at 1.52 meters, and that's the beat standard, and that's right around 5'4". So, I mean, it's a pretty good jump for her, and I think she has a lot more. So, I mean, like I said, we just have to get her ready and let her rip.
All right. Well, the Trine meet coming up on January 29th. What do you expect to see there?
More of the same thing. Just guys and girls come in and giving their all. This is actually only our 4th indoor meet since the program been around. So, I mean, that's something that we're doing a lot more this year. We're going to have 3 indoor meets opposed to having 1 per year for the past 2 years like we have been. So, I mean, it's just more opportunity. I told them that after our first meet at UND, we broke so many school records. Right. And, I mean, I'm happy for them, of course, but at the same time, I told them that it's by default. I mean, that was only our 3rd indoor meet. Right. Of course you're going to break records. I'm not happy about breaking records because that's by default. I mean, I want everyone to improve every day, come in and get better and not worry about records, because the records are, like I said, by default. I mean, we only had 2 or 3 in our short history, so we're not after records. We're after getting better every day.
So what are some of the things the team's been doing since the 11th to prepare for January 29th?
Well, we gave them off. We actually came back about a week before everyone else came back for classes. So this whole week, last week, we've been after pretty hard. I mean, everyone came back with the right mindset, and we had last week it was a little tough, just getting back in the swing of things, you know, getting used to lifting the weights and doing the workouts and just getting back into it. But this week it's been going a lot better. We had some faulty weather, so today we had to push it back because we were supposed to go in the morning today. But I wasn't sure what to expect with the weather, so we just coming in today, they're been in and out of my office waiting for me because I didn't get into one, so they've been waiting for me and just trying to get everything ready and getting the papers.
All right. Well, do you think this is going to be a good lead into the spring outdoor season?
Yeah. I mean, that's the main ideal for this, for having these 3 indoor meets, just because I don't want to just work all the way up, and we don't have our first meet until March.
Right. I
mean, they've been working so hard that I want to give them a sense of where they are and where they need to get better at. So that's why I want to have these indoor meets, and then once we get to outdoor, I mean, we're going to train all the way through these indoor meets and pretty much train through outdoor, and those big meets when we want to be our best at conference and Little State, that's when we're going to be our best. So, I mean, it's a plan that's all laid out for them, and they're just ready to get after it.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add today before you go?
No, that's about it. I mean, I'm just excited for them and for the opportunity they have, and should be a good meet, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you sometime soon about that meet.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me, and good luck here on the 29th at Trine.
Okay.
There you have it from track and field coach Dave Sanders talking about how the season's been going and taking a preview at the Trine meet coming up on January 29th. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports.
I am your physician.
I am your caregiver.
I am your spiritual support.
I am here to help you be independent
and achieve your optimal health.
But I am also a cancer survivor.
I am living with diabetes.
I am a chef.
And an artist.
I am your neighbor.
I am the face of Reed Health.
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 Reed Health, right beside you.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. The IU East Athletic Department received an award this past year, and joining me to tell me about it is IU East Sports Information Director and Assistant Athletic Director Kyle Wright. Kyle, thanks for joining me.
Always a pleasure to be here.
All right, well, tell us about this honor that the athletic department's received.
Well, it's the NAIA Champions of Character. For each school has an opportunity to be recognized as a Champions of Character institution, and so for actually every year that IU East has been part of the NAIA, we've received that award. Wow. So for 2014-15, we've got a little banner on our website. We can officially say that we're a Champions of Character institution, and always proud and happy to receive that recognition.
All right, and what made the athletic department eligible to receive this award?
The NAIA has a system, the NAIA Champions of Character scorecard. There's things you can do. If you have a banner, for us, it's in our individual workout gym in our weight room, promoting Champions of Character, the 5 core values. If you have a page on your website dedicated to the 5 core values concept, you get points for that. You get points for your athletes doing community service activities, which we've always maxed out in that. In fact, we always have done more activities than we can actually claim credit for, which is a good problem to have. Then what they really encourage, what they've really transitioned to over the last couple of years is going out and actually trying to teach the 5 core values as much as possible. And have to give a shout out to our Chancellor, Chancellor Cruz Uribe. She's done a great job of incorporating some of the 5 core values into her public presentations, and we're able to get credit for that. That's actually an item on the scorecard, as if your chief executive does things to help promote the 5 core values. So our chancellor's gotten into the act and helped us accumulate enough points to. They have a bronze level, a silver level, and a gold level. We wound up at the bronze level, right on the edge of silver, which we'll be pushing for the next couple of years, and we're able to keep the streak alive as far as earning that distinction.
Now, I know you mentioned community service. What are some of the activities that the athletes have taken place in?
Not just activities, but some of them have evolved into almost traditions. The basketball team, for instance, the men's basketball team, every year the 3rd grade academy, which is part of Richmond Community Schools, they visit, in fact, we're seeing a picture of that right now, Brad Hunt with some of the 3rd grade academy youngsters. They visit our basketball team for a day. Obviously, they have a little fun playing some basketball, but our players always make a point of saying, hey, the only reason we're able to play college basketball is because we had to do the things things that allowed us to become college students, which we feel like that makes a positive impact on the youngsters. The cross-country team, their tradition, the last several years they've gone and worked out with the Boys and Girls Club in the last week before the conference meet. So that's a nice tradition that they've developed. You see there the women's basketball team, they volunteered. They showed up for our Run with the Wolves 5K in July at 6 a.m., did all of our work for setup between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., and then they ran the race. So for a lot of college students wouldn't do that on a Saturday. There you see some of our volleyball players. That's at the Ironman mini triathlon, I believe, that was held in Richmond in May. They were finish line volunteers. So at the finish line, after they finished swimming, biking, and running, our volleyball players were there to help get the time chips and pass out water or whatever the athletes needed. There you're seeing our golfers. Vale Elementary in Richmond had a literacy night and was looking for athletes to come and read to the kids at that. They're the volleyball team taking part in a business entrepreneurship project. Another one, the track and field team, they always make a habit of going to the Special Olympics. Their state meet for track and field is held at the same time as our track and field season. So I believe it's Tuesdays in the spring. Our track and field team makes a habit of working out with the Special Olympians, helps us get ready for our conference meet, and also helps them get ready for their state meet. So it's a real win-win for everyone involved.
All right, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the athletes can also be honored individually through the Champions of Character, correct?
The conference has started a new thing this year. I think it's a really good program. So you've always had your all-conference teams, which is based on your performance on the field or on the court or whatever. Now they've got a thing, as soon as they introduce that team, in fact, you got to see it yourself at volleyball, so they introduced the all-conference team for performance. Then there's a all-conference Champions of Character team as well. Okay. Each school gets to nominate one person per sport to represent our school. For IU East in the fall, Brittany Hethcix was our representative for women's tennis. For cross country, it was Morgan Stanley and Adam Klipstein. And for volleyball, was Morgan Steinbrenner represented us. So each year from here out, IU East still have someone representing our school on the all Champions of Character team, as well as hopefully many people on the all conference teams.
All right. Well, I know you mentioned that the athletic department was at the bronze rating this year, pushing for the silver rating next year. What are some of the things that maybe focus on to get up into that silver or gold rating next year?
Well, as I said, we've actually maxed out in community service. We can't, in the NAIA's eyes, we can't possibly do any more good. Of course, we'll try to do as much good as possible. The real emphasis they put is on educating about the 5 core values. So those in the community, if you're watching, maybe if you'd like to have some college athletes there to talk about sportsmanship, which is one of the 5 core values, or specifically about responsibility, which is another one of the values. Obviously, we're always happy to have athletes go interact in the community purely for fun, but if there's a specific lesson that we can help impart and you think it might be good to have it come from a college athlete in one of those 5 core values, which you can see for yourself at championsofcharacter.org, that's where you can kind of get bonus points, not just being there, but being there to help impart those values. That's what kind of pushes the bronze schools up until the silver level.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add today?
Well, again, if you're in the community, if you're involved with a community organization, would like our athletes to come and perhaps take part in something you're doing, all of our contact information is at iueredwolves.com. Keith Lundgren, who we've seen on the show recently, is actually going to take over our Champions of Character liaison role. So if you're looking for one specific person, look for Keith. I'll be happy to field calls about that as well, and we're always happy to see our athletes involved in the community.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today.
Always a pleasure.
All right, well, there you have it from Kyle Wright, the Assistant Athletic Director and the Sports Information Director here at IU East, talking about the Champions of Character Award that the Athletic Department received in the 2014-15 school year. We'll be right back with more Inside IU East Sports. And welcome back to Inside IU East Sports. That sound you just heard means that it is time for Wolf Center. Wolf Center is ready to take a look back at last week's IU East results and ahead to next week's schedule. You can download the Wolf House sound you just heard by downloading the free IU East Athletics app at the iTunes App Store or at Google Play. Now let's take a look ahead at the schedule. On January 23rd, the IU East women's basketball team will be at Point Park. Tip-off will be at noon. This game will be played at the CCAC South Campus Gymnasium in Pittsburgh. Men's basketball team also on the road to Point Park on January 23rd at the CCAC South Campus. Tip-off at 2 p.m. Both games will be live on the Red Wolves Sports Network at IUERedWolves.com. On January 26th, the women's basketball team will be taking on Cincinnati Christian. This game will be played at the Wright State Nutter Center. Tip-off at 6 p.m. in Fairborn, Ohio. IU East will be considered the host team for this matchup. Also on January 26th, the men's basketball team in action at the Wright State Nutter Center, taking on Cincinnati Christian. Tip-off at 8 p.m. Coverage at IUERedWolves.com. On January 28th, the women's basketball team will be playing Ohio Christian on the road. Tip-off at 6 p.m. in Circleville, Ohio. This is the first trip to OCU for the IU East women's basketball team. Also on January 28th, the men's basketball team on the road at Ohio Christian University. Tip-off at 8 p.m. on the IUERedWolves.com Red Wolves Sports Network. On January 29th, the track and field team will be at the Trine Classic at 5 p.m. in Angola, Indiana. That concludes this week's episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.